Okay, so I want to focus my research on the reality versus aesthetics and fabrication on Instagram, more specifically, those micro celebrities and micro influencers who are portraying themselves online and through Instagram, through highlight reels of their lives and using filters to create almost a certain identity and branding of themselves, and how this can impact how we tend to perceive real versus polished identities on Instagram through their posts and their stories they share. I think this is a really important topic because online perception and identity is something that some people might struggle with, and especially during like recent years, this has become more prevalent. I think it's important to realize that many people do create almost a highlight reel of their lives on social media, and I know like this is not just with influencers, but with a lot of people. So really focusing on how the influencers can impact that. And I think this is just because it's so embedded into what is perceived to be the standard for social media, and what it's just like the society has made it to be. Also, micro influencers have audiences that follow them and maybe even look up to them and trust their advice, and what they do and what they say, they kind of believe. So I think that's really important to know that they kind of have that trust factor with people who are of higher influence on social media. And then social media platforms are not only a means of sharing photos and messages like Instagram, but they're also a meaningful socialization process that ultimately promotes a participatory culture of consuming and producing new ideas and content. So all in all, my research question would be how can micro celebrities and influencers aesthetics portrayed on Instagram's platform, uh, how can it affect a user's perception of reality versus fabrication within the social media spaces? So really focusing on like how that can affect us as users, and how it can make us, have that difference between the reality versus fabrication when they're posting online. So I want to use some side-by-side images also of where celebrities, micro celebrities, and influencers have posted, a side-by-side of here is me looking glamorous and beautiful, and then here's what I really looked like. And I know Dr. Victory has showed a lot of those in the past that were really impactful because it was people showing real and raw images, and versus what they've curated for you to see online. And so I want to use a lot of those to kind of look at how the transparency factor, a lot of influencers are kind of like trying to make Instagram casual again and being transparent with their followers to know that, they're not always perfect how they seem to look in all of their posts. And then moving into theoretical frameworks and some methodologies I would like to use, and some studies and scholars concepts I would like to pull from. Mostly the intro area, I want to really focus on social media's definition as being an online space where individuals can create through an interactive social channel, and they can choose to participate and network through it. So kind of promoting participatory cultures. And that goes along with analyzing the user's online presence and image within the participatory culture based on Jenkins' definition. And then I also discovered a critical analysis done by a student in Amsterdam named Frederick Lichtenstein, and it's focused on Instagram versus reality. So I think that's a really great deep dive to keep going into. Some really good points made throughout there that I enjoyed. And then a study done by Julianne Bauer. She talks about the effects of Instagram influencers and appearance comparisons. So like body image, body appreciation, and then the internalization of that. So like how it's changing the self-esteem and beauty ideals within women. And so I think that's a very direct correlation of how we see influencers and how they inflict those feelings on us, and maybe how we publish ourselves online. And then the argument that I want to make here, which it's still very loose, and I'm open to suggestions to it as well, is saying that through these curated images of micro celebrities and micro influencers on Instagram's platform, there's an impact on some users' perception of what is real and what is fabricated. And going into how I need to distinguish this still, but does it affect how we are publishing ourselves online? And are we putting out that highlight reel? Are we being real and raw? Are we making Instagram casual again? So does that personality aspects presented from micro influencers, does that affect us directly and impact how we then perceive what we put online as being real and fabricated? Um, and then noting that social media blurs what we know and what we see to be true, almost as we don't have a clear perception of an influencer or influencers due to their online personalities being crafted to how they want us to see them. And so I think that's just a really important kind of loosely pieces of like the argument I do want to make. Still needs a little bit more structure and work. But yeah, if you have any suggestions for that, or even for the research question, I'd be really open to that. But yeah, that pretty much covers it.